It was supposed to be a routine Tuesday morning in the packed downtown courthouse. The high ceilings echoed with the shuffle of papers and the low hum of lawyers murmuring to their clients. Sunlight streamed through the tall stained glass windows, catching dust in the air and making the place look almost holy if it weren't for the tension that seemed to hang over every trial dot at the front. Judge Bernard Hollis, silver-haired, stern-faced, the kind of man who had seen every excuse in the book, adjusted his glasses and glanced over the docket. His robe swayed slightly as he shifted in his chair. Bored already? The case he was about to hear wasn't supposed to be anything extraordinary, just another procedural mess about a small neighborhood business dispute. Then, the doors at the back opened, and in walked a kid, not a lawyer, not a paralegal, a kid. He couldn't have been more than 15, wearing a slightly oversized blazer, sleeves folded twice over his wrists, and a pair of scuffed sneakers that squeaked faintly on the polished floor. Courtroom went quiet. A few people chuckled under their breath. Judge Hollis's eyebrow arched. Excuse me, young man," he said, his voice carrying through the room. "The observer's gallery is that way. You're not supposed to be standing in front of my bench." The boy didn't flinch. He walked right to the defense table, placed a stack of files neatly on top, and looked straight at the judge. "I'm here to represent my client, sir." A ripple of laughter broke through the courtroom. Even the opposing attorney, a tall man in a three-piece suit named Richard Palmer, smirked and shook his head. Judge Hollis leaned forward. "Represent your client, son. Is this some sort of joke?" "No joke," the boy replied calmly. "Name's Daniel Miles. My client authorized me to represent him. The paperwork's been filed with the clerk's office. You can check." The judge glanced toward the clerk, who nodded awkwardly. "It's true, Your Honor," she said. "We received a motion filed by Mr. Miles yesterday. It's so legally formatted and, well, it's in order." The judge's lips twitched. "In order, he's 15. Daniel smiled faintly. 14, actually. But age doesn't determine knowledge of the law. The laughter grew louder, and Judge Hollis tapped his gavel sharply. Order in the court. He looked back at Daniel, clearly irritated now. "Son, I've been on this bench for 30 years. I've seen green lawyers, cocky lawyers, and flat-out bad lawyers, but I've never seen a high schooler stroll in here claiming to practice law." Daniel didn't break eye contact. "Then, today's your first, Your Honor." Palmer, the opposing counsel, rose from his seat. "Your Honor, if we're going to indulge this charade, I'd like it noted for the record that the plaintiff's side objects to the child acting as counsel." Daniel turned his head slowly toward Palmer. "Objection overruled." A few gasps went through the courtroom. The judge chuckled dryly. "You don't get to make that call, son." Daniel leaned slightly on the defense table. "No, but I do get to respond. And I'd suggest Mr. Palmer focus on the law rather than my age, because as far as I can tell, the law doesn't prohibit a party from appointing a representative who isn't a licensed attorney in small claims jurisdiction. Am I wrong, counselor?" Palmer's smirk faltered. He opened his mouth, closed it, then glanced at his notes. "Technically, in certain limited cases, it's possible." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. And this," he said, tapping the stack of files, "is one of those cases. So if you're done objecting, perhaps we can begin." Judge Hollis sat back in his chair, half annoyed, half intrigued. "All right, Mr. Miles, you've got my attention. But I warn you, I'm not about to let this courtroom turn into a circus. You will follow procedure, you will show respect, and you will not waste my time." Daniel gave a small bow of his head. "Understood, Your Honor. Respect is earned, and I intend to earn yours." The trial began. From the first question Daniel asked a witness, it was clear this wasn't some kid bluffing his way through. He spoke with precision, his tone firm but not aggressive. He drew answers out like he'd been doing it for years, weaving them together to poke holes in Palmer's case. Every time Palmer tried to throw in a complex objection, Daniel countered, with legal references that made the older man's jaw tighten. People in the audience began leaning forward. Murmurs turned into whispers. Even the judge found himself hiding a small smile behind his hand. At one point, Palmer tried to trip him up. "Mr. Miles, can you tell the court the precedent you're relying on for your last objection?" Daniel didn't miss a beat. "Sure, Johnson v. Carter, 1998, 9th District. The court ruled that even when an agreement is verbal, the implied warranty still applies if both parties acted in reliance on its terms. Page 214, paragraph 2. Want me to quote it?" Palmer's eyes flickered. "That won't be necessary." By the second hour, the laughter had vanished. The same people who had chuckled when Daniel walked in were now scribbling notes and hanging on his every word. Then came the turning point. Palmer produced what he thought was his trump card, a signed statement from a key witness that seemed to crush Daniel's defense. He handed it to the judge with a smug grin. Daniel skimmed it, then looked up slowly. "Your Honor, I move to exclude this statement." "On what grounds?" the judge asked. "Forgery," Daniel said simply. The entire courtroom gasped. Palmer barked out a laugh. "Forgery. This was notarized by a licensed officer," Daniel interrupted, who was sitting right there in the gallery. "Ma'am, could you stand?" A middle-aged woman stood nervously. Daniel nodded politely. "You notarized this statement yesterday." She nodded yes. Daniel took a deep breath. Could you tell the court where you were when you notarized it? She frowned. In my office. Daniel smiled faintly. Interesting, because according to your own business's Instagram account, which you posted from yesterday afternoon, you were at the airport boarding a flight to Chicago at the exact time this document claims you were signing it. The gallery erupted. Palmer's face strained of color. The judge's eyes narrowed. Is that true, ma'am? She hesitated. Yes. Daniel turned to the judge. Your Honor, this statement is invalid. An opposing counsel knowingly submitted a fraudulent document as contempt. The courtroom went dead silent. Judge Hollis stared at Daniel for a long moment, then let out a low whistle. Mr. Palmer, I'm giving you one chance to explain this before I move forward with sanctions. Palmer stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. I had no idea, but the damage was done. The judge ruled the statement inadmissible, and from that point, Palmer's case unraveled completely. When the final verdict came, Judge Hollis looked down at Daniel. No trace of mockery left in his voice. Mr. Miles, I don't think I've ever been so surprised in this courtroom. You conducted yourself with skill, composure, and frankly more legal knowledge than some professionals I've seen. Consider me impressed. Daniel gave a small smile. Thank you, Your Honor. Like I said, respect is earned. As he gathered his files and walked out, the people in the gallery erupted into applause. Cameras from local reporters flashed, and within hours, clips of the teen attorney were going viral online. But Daniel didn't slow down, didn't bask in the fame. He just walked into the sunlight, ready for whatever case would come next. Because for him, this wasn't a stunt. This was just the beginning.